There's a point in your fitness journey where things will feel too good to be true. You know why I can say this with confidence? Because I've been eating more calories and carbs than I ever had before. I'm doing half as much of my workouts, and I'm just as lean as I was when I was starving myself, overtraining in the gym, and overstraining my body overall. In this episode, I'm going to share with you exactly how to earn the right to eat more, train less, and stay lean without losing progress. Let's parlay. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Let's Parlay. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button to support the page and continue to be updated whenever new episodes come out. I appreciate those who have subscribed already. For my faithful followers and faithful watchers of the show, I really appreciate it. And listeners too, for those who aren't watching on YouTube, for those who are on Spotify, whatever streaming platform you're on, I appreciate you. I'm excited to get into this topic because this is something that I feel like a lot of people are very confused by when they see someone who is very lean, someone who has a decent amount of muscle content, who looks, magazine ready, and they see how they live their life and what they eat. And they get very confused and discouraged because they're like, how can this person eat so much? How can this person barely work out and still maintain their physique? Like, how do they get to this point? And I wanted to talk through exactly what has happened and what made me realize that, I think I'm actually at this point now where I'm eating more, I'm doing less, and I'm still maintaining the physique and my body fat percentage. And I actually feel better. Like, I'm recovering better and I'm sleeping better. All of these things are going well. So I wanted to share exactly how I got to this point and why I know that it's possible for everyone to eventually get to this point. So all these sacrifices that you're putting in, or all this hard work that you're putting in, all the sacrifices of things that you're denying yourself now, once you get to a certain body fat percentage, once you get to a certain level of being lean and muscle content, your body will require less work and you'll be able to eat more in order to maintain your results. So I'm sharing this to say, keep going. Please keep going, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you could be one of those people who could be experiencing this lifestyle where you get to eat a lot more freely and enjoy your life a lot more without thinking about what you're going to add as far as body weight or body fat. Okay, so I wanted to share a little bit of the background on why I'm talking about this, but let's start off with why and how I even got to this point. Okay, so if you've been tuning in for previous episodes, you may have heard me talk about this grind phase that I went into, where I went to see family during Thanksgiving. I ate like a pig. I mean, just disgusted with myself afterwards. I lost all bodily control when I saw the food that my family had laid out. And my activity level was okay, but I definitely wasn't as active as I normally am back in my home and just in my normal routine. So after Thanksgiving, I decided, okay, enough is enough. I want to lock in. I did a body spec scan, or a DEXA scan through body spec, I should say, and saw where my body fat percentage was at that point in my weight. I think I was around like 240-ish, 242, and I think it was around like 12 or 13% body fat, which isn't terrible, but just for my standards, especially being a fitness coach, I wanted to lock in. I wanted to get more lean and just stay diligent with my nutrition and my workouts. So what I decided to do was I was going to hit the gym 6 times a week. I was going to do 4 sets of 5 strength training exercises for each one of those workouts. I was then going to do 60 minutes of cardio where I was pushing. It was really like endurance cardio, because my heart rate was somewhere between 130 and 150 beats per minute while I was doing that cardio, usually incline walks. And then I was also going to get into a calorie deficit where I was about 400 calories less than my maintenance amount of calories. So for those who aren't familiar, your maintenance amount of calories is the amount of calories required for you to just maintain your body weight. Okay, if you go into a deficit, that will force your body to want to remove mass. Okay, so I went 400 calories less than that. What I also decided to do was eat about 210 grams of protein and about the same number of grams of carbs each day. Okay, so I was matching protein for carbs, and then fats was whatever was remaining. Okay, so I did this for about a month and some change, and the results were pretty clear. You know, I had gone down to about 8.4% body fat. I was super lean. I could tell that there was a huge difference between where I started this journey and where I ended. But there were some consequences, and I've talked about this before. My recovery and my nervous system was essentially breaking down. Okay, I use Oura Ring to track a lot of my health data and metrics, and there was a clear indication that my heart rate variability, aka HRV, was starting to trend downwards ever since I had started this whole extreme workout and calorie deficit regimen. Okay. The other thing that I noticed was my sleep was terrible. And this has been pretty consistent over the past maybe 5 years of my life, but I never really dissected exactly how or experimented how to adjust maybe my nutrition and my workouts in order to combat this. But regardless, that's where I ended up after the month and a half of going through this just crazy grind phase of working out super hard for 6 days a week with my cardio and with my strength training, and then essentially eating 200 grams of carbs, 200 grams of protein, and being in a calorie deficit of 400 calories. Okay, so that was what I did, and where I ended up was with my recovery and my nervous system essentially just letting me know that I was overstrained. Okay. And I guess the biggest lesson that I can share from this is I learned that eventually you'll hit a point where more effort will not produce better results. Okay, especially once you get towards a certain body fat percentage, you doing more is actually going to hinder your progress, especially if you're looking to get even more lean than where you are at that moment. So that was a big realization for me, because this is the first time that I've been this lean, and I just wasn't sure if I could just keep pushing my body to do the same things that had gotten me here. I reached a point where something needed to change. Okay, so here's where the shift happened. I decided that I was going to commit. I've done some research, or I had done some research at that time, and I decided I was going to cut my workouts in half. Okay, so my strength training, I'm only doing 2 sets of each one of these exercises. I'm still going to go to the gym 6 days a week just because I enjoy going that many times, but I'm going to reduce the volume of my workouts so that I'm only doing 2 sets per exercise. And then what I decided I was going to do was only do 15 to 30 minutes of cardio each day, and with my heart rate being no more than 130 beats per minute. This will essentially allow me to recover while I was doing my cardio, instead of continue to add more strain on top of my strength training and the fact that I was in a calorie deficit. Okay, so those were the 2 things that I did to adjust my workouts and how I was burning calories. On the nutritional front, what I did was I said, hey, I'm gonna still stay in a calorie deficit because I'm curious to see if I can still remain, lean and also get even more lean during this phase. But I decided I'm gonna change where I'm getting my calories from, and I'm also going to slightly tweak how big my deficit is. So instead of 400 calories being in a deficit, I decided I'm gonna do 300 calories. So 100 more calories than what I normally eat. And then what I decided is I'm going to eat more carbs, because carbs are the macronutrient that best support your recovery and best support your workouts to make sure you have enough fuel to sustain yourself. What had happened before is I wasn't like restricting carbs, but I just logically thought that protein was going to be the macronutrient that I needed to focus on more in order to continue to stay lean and see the results that I wanted to see to maintain muscle. What I had learned through my research is that I actually don't need to eat that much protein in order to maintain my muscle content. So I decided I'm going to drop my protein goals from 210 a day to 175 grams. And then what I did was I upped my carbs to about 300 plus carbs a day, so that way it can make up for the difference. And fats, like I said, that's sort of like the remaining factor. My hormonal health is fine, so I don't need to focus on like my my fat content, as far as what I was eating. So that is what I decided I was going to commit to. And all of this was in an effort to regulate my nervous system. So hopefully to stabilize my heart rate variability, also to stabilize my sleep, my resting heart rate, all this sort of stuff that indicates that my body was being strained at the time. Okay. So let me tell you what happened as a result of doing this. Okay. The first 1 to 2 weeks, I had expected, based off of my research, that there wouldn't be much of like a change or a trend upward in a lot of my recovery data. And that's exactly what happened. My HRV just essentially stabilized, right? So it was going down each week, and it was pretty obvious that, things were going in the wrong direction. After about a week or two of doing this, reducing my load in the gym, and then just, eating more carbs to support my recovery, everything stabilized. My resting heart rate, my HRV, all of that was cool. Mentally, though, I will say I did feel pretty concerned that I wasn't doing enough, because if I'm doing half the work that I was doing before, my mind just was like, all right, well, I'm probably not going to see the same results. I'm probably going to start seeing a regression. And that was not the case at all. I still maintained how lean I was. And if anything, I think I even dropped, a pound or two throughout that week as well, and just felt a lot more, recovered. I didn't feel as tired and strained. Now I want to tell you what happened after a month of doing this. After a month of being in this phase, my HRV started trending upwards. It was a very clear, like right after that 2-week point is when my HRV started going up. And that, again, HRV being heart rate variability. This is a sign that my nervous system is starting to become better at self-regulating. Okay, I'm starting to get the fuel, and I'm starting to reduce the strain on my body in order to make sure my nervous system can cooperate. What was also cool was my resting heart rate started to decrease. Okay, so your resting heart rate is a good indication of like your cardiovascular health. And it was just cool to see that, like, oh, like actually it's starting to go down. I didn't even think that that was something that was going to be affected by this whole process, but it was. And I was really appreciative of that. And the other thing, obviously, my body weight remained pretty much stable. And it's crazy. It's like I felt even more lean than I did when I started it. And you would think like, oh, well, you're eating more carbs, you're going to retain more water weight. Not the case at all. Like I feel either just as lean or even more lean than I was when I had started this whole like recovery precision phase. But the real cool part about all of this was that, my sleep just got 10 times better. On average, started sleeping like an hour more each night consistently. I used to wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to go back to sleep, especially if I had to pee. I would just be up, and then, at 2:30, 3 a.m., I just started my day because I was like, I don't know what else to do. But especially during like the third or fourth week of being in this phase, I just was sleeping. I was having dreams. I can't remember the last time I consistently had dreams, vivid dreams too, and good ones. Now, the one thing I'll say is I did pray over my dreams because I was having some funky ones a while ago. But anyway, I started praying and the dreams got a lot more wholesome. So that was good. And that was the result of being in this phase for about a month. And the crazy thing is I really, really realized that, maybe here's where I'll go with this. I had some moments throughout this phase where maybe I did, work out a little bit harder because I played basketball, I played basketball, I think twice throughout this phase. Those days when I play basketball, my cravings and my body demanded a lot more. And the crazy part is on those days, there would be days where I would eat probably like 700 calories or 800 calories more than what my target was, right? Of being in like that 300 calorie deficit. So I would eat essentially enough for maintenance plus 400. And nothing happened. Like my body still maintained. I mean, if anything, there would be like some digestive change, right? Because, like you're just eating a lot more and maybe eating out and eating like, more oily and greasy food. But it's not like I put on a crazy amount of weight. And even when it comes to like my calorie deficit, like I'm not even like sticking to that super religiously. Like I probably go over my calorie goal by 100 to 200 calories on certain days. And it's just because like I can tell my body's sort of craving it. So whenever I like do harder workouts, it just seems that my body needs that at that time. Okay. And I used to think like, oh man, like, I'm losing self-control. I need to be better at staying on top of this stuff. But now I realize like, oh, actually, because I'm tracking all of my food, I can see how much I'm eating. I can see what type of foods that I'm consuming. And it's just that when I work out harder, my body just demands more carbs because I'm in a deficit, so it just requires more to support recovery. So anyway, I share all that to say that there are two major takeaways that I want you to come away with, okay, and a third bonus one. One, carbs are not the enemy. And I never believed that they were, but I always kind of had like a little bit of a focus more on protein than I did on making sure you have enough carbs, especially when you're working out to a certain intensity for a certain amount of time per week. So they're not the enemy. As a matter of fact, if you have an excess of protein, it's really unnecessary to sustain your muscle. Okay, like you really need, I think it's about zero point 0.7 grams of protein per pound of lean muscle. Okay, so if you were to get a DEXA scan and you see how much lean muscle you have, for me, I'm around like 200 pounds of lean muscle. So zero point 0.7 is around, what is it, 175, right? Grams of protein, 160 to 175 grams of protein. So you really don't need that much to sustain your muscle. And then carbs are going to support your nervous system, your sleep quality, and your HRV stability. So when you think about things that may contribute to you feeling off or a little bit tired, HRV and your sleep are pretty good indicators, and your resting heart rate, pretty good indicators of whether or not you're probably depleting yourself of carbs and whether carbs can actually be a thing that you add to help out with those things. And the cool part about this is that, with carbs not being the enemy, it's allowed me to enjoy a lot of the foods that, I hadn't had in a while. Like to me, I grew up on carbs. I ate a lot of rice and beans, especially with my Puerto Rican mother who made arroz con habichuelas all the time. And, I had literally a whole plate full that was just covered with rice and beans. And I enjoy that stuff. And now I can eat it kind of guilt free. And at the same time, like I track it, but it's just not as much of like I can't have as much of this or I can't have it at all mentality. You can have those things, especially when you are putting in the work when it comes to your training and your cardio, et cetera, et cetera. And the last thing that I'll mention here is that I've been eating more calories, but I'm still just as lean as I was before. And it's not as if I'm getting or adding more body fat or getting fatter or whatever. Like I'm eating based off of what my body demands, but I'm also keeping track of it. So I know how much I'm going over and how much I'm eating. And I don't try to shame myself the next day by like eating nothing, okay? I tried that before too, doesn't work. Because then the following day after that, then you have those cravings yet again and it just balances itself out, okay? So your body's gonna tell you when you need more resources, okay? And the second thing that I've taken away from this, first thing again, carbs are not the enemy, okay? Eating more calories, especially when you're in this lower body fat percentage, can be a necessity. The second thing is that volume in your workouts and in your strength training will create fatigue. It will not add more muscle. A lot of people believe that like volume is king/queen. You just need more volume. You need to do more. And the reality behind that is that, yes, that'll be true to a certain point, but then your body will become overstrained, especially if you're in a calorie deficit and you're not getting enough carbs and nutrition to support recovery. So if you're sitting here and you're feeling like, oh man, I've hit a brick wall and I'm not seeing results, the solution to that could actually be eating more carbs and eating more calories to make sure that your body is recovered and it balances out your hormones and a lot of the strain that's been put on your body. Okay, so your cardio and everything that you're doing, it should be supporting your recovery. Okay, it shouldn't be like more stress that's added on. So that's why getting steps and going out for walks and having your heart rate be anywhere below 130 beats per minute, that's what I've subscribed to, and that's what's worked best for me. And that's something that can be sustainable. Okay, you don't need to go through this like crazy grind period, because again, like I lost 10 pounds in a month and a half, which is pretty quick, but I didn't need to go at that pace. Going at that pace came with its consequences. Okay, so I'm trying to help you avoid that just in general. And the bonus, the bonus and the main point that I'm trying to get at here is that your body will eventually reach a point where you won't need to train as much. As a matter of fact, you'll need to train less, and you'll need to eat more in order to sustain your results. Because if you don't, then your cravings will start to kick in and you will start to lose control of your appetite, and then you'll just make major swings in the opposite direction that won't actually support what it is that you're trying to accomplish, either in maintaining or continuing to get more lean. So all those people that you see who are super lean, who seem like they eat whatever they want to, it's because they've reached a point where their body requires such things in order to sustain their muscle mass and to sustain their recovery from the workouts that they do. Okay. And on top of that, they don't need to train as much because at a lower body fat percentage, your body just does not require that much training in order to maintain your muscle and your leanness. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay. Just keep grinding, keep doing what you're doing right now in order to see the results that you're seeing. But if you ever reach a plateau, or if you ever feel as though you're not feeling as good, you're not sleeping as good, and you feel like you're having a lot of cravings, pause for a second, reassess. Don't be afraid of carbs. Don't be afraid to reduce your training volume and start to focus on building back up your nervous system and your recovery so that you can sustain these results and sustain the lean physique that you have earned up until this point or that you're working towards. Okay, so there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Just stay consistent, and you will eventually reach this point that I feel I have maybe attained in being able to train less, eat more, especially more carbs, because that has been a joy. And yeah, this is a really, really good spot to be in. So I just wanted to share that with you to encourage you, for folks who are on a fitness journey, that I'm someone who was always heavy and who always felt like I, just gained more body mass with what I ate, or more body fat easier. But that's just not the truth. I just wasn't tracking anything, and I probably was overeating when I had cravings and going through extremes in order to try to lose weight and do it quickly, and just was uneducated. Okay, so I'm sharing all this to educate you so that you can go about things better and in a more efficient way, and in a way that's more sustainable. All right, so I hope that you've been encouraged by this episode. If you are looking to work with a coach one-on-one, I'd be happy to possibly connect with you. Go ahead and click the link in the description to fill out an application. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this episode and stay tuned for the next one next week. God bless, and yeah, you go out there and do good in the world. Take care.